Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Jabroni Drive. It's the year-end episode where we rank the top matches, top superstars, top PLEs, crowds, moments, and underrated wrestlers of the year. Will this be the best episode of Jabroni Drive? I think so. Timmy, anything you got to say to all the Schmid-Lavellites out there?
Because when you tune into Jabroni Drive, you're a jabroni for life.
I love it. Timmy, I love that that's our seems to be our official catchphrase as of right now. When you're a jabroni for life. And we appreciate you listening, and thank you to everyone out there that's been tuning in to Jabroni Drive. We hope you're enjoying the content that we're putting out, the way we talk about professional wrestling as a business at WWE, their storylines, their matches, the crowds, the whole deal. Thank you for listening to us. And if you're not already doing it, now's the time. Go hit that subscribe. Go hit that follow. We're available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, wherever you can find us. Look us up. Give us a follow. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Big events coming up, particularly the Royal Rumble. That'll be January 27th at Graham's Pub. If you're not doing anything, come on out. Watch the Royal Rumble with your boys, with the Jabronis. The HJB is going to be there. Me and Timmy are going to be there. Jabroni Drive live show before, talking about the matches, breaking it down. Maybe some surprise guests, if you smell what I'm baking.
The Pebble has been rumored to show up.
Who knows what could happen at Jabroni Drive's Royal Rumble at Graham's Pub. That's January 27th at Graham's Pub. More details to follow. We hope to see you there. And give us that follow. Turn on your notifications. All right, Timmy, let's jump right into it. We got a lot going on this week in this episode, but first, let's get to SmackDown from this past week. Okay? Big episode. Roman Reigns again on the episode. We have a AJ Styles, LA Knight, Randy Orton. They're all out in the ring talking about things. Let's first get into that. AJ Styles comes out. He's talking about what he's doing, who just left him for dead, kind of why he Tim, I thought he struggled out there a little bit. He's never been strong.
It's go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, AJ comes out and gives us the "you better not get in my way" like promo. It's like okay, dude. He's back. He looks great. You know, his hair isn't permed or whatever it is, straightened, and he's got like a cooler, sleeker look to himself. He's got more, it seems like his body's more defined. And he's wearing like the black, right? So he's differentiating himself from the OC, which is good too as well. But it's just like, yeah, and this is my problem with AJ Styles. It's just he's got that like Georgia Southern twang, and it's like hard for him to get rid of it, and it just comes across a little hokey for me. And just not fully invested, not buying into it, you know. So it's tough. You got LA Knight out there that's good too as well. He's awesome on the mic, and then obviously Randy Orton, who's just in the class by himself. But yeah, it didn't hit for me.
Timmy, did it seem to you like they were short on time? It felt like they were like their timing was off. And I don't know if maybe they were like, hey, we have to go to a commercial. Like even when LA Knight came out, he kind of quickly got to his with everybody saying LA Knight. And you saw AJ Styles kind of stumbling and use very cliche kind of terms. You get in my way, I'm gonna put you down. Like kind of like, like there was no originality with that stuff, and he stumbled a little on that. And then Orton, it's all I was wondering if they had to get so much in just such a time that it came off forced and that the timing was off. I wonder if they had to get off. I don't know. I'm just saying that's
Well,
kind of the way it came off.
well, it was taped, correct?
Yeah, it was taped because they
Yeah.
had
So,
off.
so the other thing I did notice too, and I was going to bring it
I
up to
think
you,
it was
but
taped. Was it taped? I
I
think it
think it
was
was taped.
taped.
So I think that there was a lot of voiceover work being done too as well, from some of the announcers. It was strange. Like it just sounded like maybe some of the announcers, or maybe at some points, like they just, it sounded like they just dropped in, maybe like they watched the show and then they were just doing commentating, like essentially on a mic that we're doing
Huh.
right now. It just sounded a little off, but to your point, yeah, it was a little strange. But I don't know. Like if you're taping it, you should be able to edit it, and yeah,
Make
like
it look
if
cool
yeah, it's not like
instead
they're
of
gonna
like
do.
hokey.
Yeah, but they're not gonna do it over again. They're gonna, all right, guys, we need to do another take here. They don't do that. So that has to stay true to what it is. But unfortunately, it just didn't come off right, that segment. So
Yeah, it didn't. So then Aldis comes out and he says, "This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna have Randy Orton versus AJ Styles versus LA Knight in a triple threat match. The winner of that match will be facing Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble for the undisputed WWE Championship." I love that call. I'm definitely looking forward to that match at the New Year's Revolution. Um, I think it's a great call, and it makes sense that you would do that. You have three guys that think they all have a right to the match, and so we've talked about it in the past, and I'm glad that they're doing it with this. It's something that seems to make sense. The match booking makes sense. Aldis comes out. I feel like he's done a great job, and we always talk about Pierce, but they've done a great job of taking this general manager character and being legitimate with it. Like, I'm going to do this because of this. This is why we're doing this. And that's going to lead us to the next part where Roman Reigns in the back with Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa. I want to talk to Nick Aldis, bring him to me, blah, blah, blah. He brings him to him. He talks to him about, oh, you set up the match with Solo and Randy Orton, or was it Randy Orton? And then you set up the match, the triple threat. It's good ideas. What I don't like is that you didn't run it by me. Everything that goes on in this show is run through me. I'm the tribal chief. Adam Pierce understood that. Why don't you understand that? Which, Timmy, kind of bothered me that everything runs through me. I haven't been here in 3 months, but everything goes through me. Since when? You got to be there for it to go through you.
well, my thought process on Roman Reigns' attendance
Right,
at SmackDown over the course of the last few months here, Tom. But um, yeah, I don't know what that angle's about. I mean, it stays. I do. I should say. I do know where that comes from, because he is essentially he's the guy that makes it all work, right? So
right.
it makes sense for him to say that. But I, to your point about Nick Aldis, I like how he's pushing back. Right? I'm not saying there's a crack or anything like that, but you could see that there's some pushback on what Roman Reigns actually is, like how he's established himself as, the head of the table, the guy that, the big dog and all the other stuff that he calls himself, right? And now he's getting pushback from management. Now it's not heavy pushback or anything like that, but it's someone that's challenging him, like, hey, listen, nah, you ain't the guy that runs the show. I am, and this is what I'm putting in place. So, maybe that signifies a change in the way Roman Reigns' matches go down, where he's constantly winning with help and assistance and stuff like that. Maybe we see some sort of long-term effect with how his matches are played out. But yeah, that's me wishing something that may not happen. But it's just good to see that dynamic in place. So we'll see where it goes. I still, again, to your point, I love the Pierce and the Aldis dynamic, and I could I said this before. You can see these two guys possibly like mixing it up at some point. Would be kind of cool. But yeah, it's a good start. I mean, look, we're at the end of the year here with SmackDown, and we're gearing up for a big run through, yeah, some of the most important PLEs in the beginning of the year with, Rumble, and then into obviously the ultimate one, which is WrestleMania. So, yeah, I think there's some build up to that with this triple threat match, and yeah, there's three guys here that are very well main roster guys that are worthy of that shot, and it's a way to keep LA Knight into the fold too as well.
Right. All right. So let's move on to the tournament for the United States Championship. You had Santos Escobar versus Bobby Lashley.
Who?
Santos Escobar versus Bobby Lashley. And good match. I liked the match. The ending came in with a run in, two guys coming back, Angel Garza, and they interfere in the match,
Stupid.
help help
Dumb.
Escobar win the match. He goes on and they celebrate. Timmy,
Dumb.
is this and what why do you think why is it dumb?
It just
I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm just saying
it just doesn't make much sense for the whole Bobby Lashley thing. It's like, dude, this we thought that this is going to be something huge with the Street Profits, and it's like they're totally wasting this. And
yeah.
then they're for what? For Santos Escobar? Because he's gonna lose the KO. Everyone knows that. I mean, this guy's not gonna get another shot at the US title, right? Like it just I'm just wondering why. And then the way that Lashley loses on a roll up, like the guy's the biggest dude in the world. Like
Right.
he's not gonna lose on a roll up from Santos Escobar. Like it was just poor planning, in my opinion.
It's where is this going? Where is this Lashley Street Profits things going? Because those guys, the Street Profits are one of the best tag teams in the biz right now, but we haven't seen them at all. Like, when's the last time they really like had a stretch of wins? You know what I mean? It's been months, like probably 6 months. And they were losing before that too. It's not like they've held the belts because the Usos have held them for so long. So this faction, at some point, they need to start dominating. Kind of like how we talked about with the Judgment Day last year. It's like you can't just have these guys job to everybody. And I think it's just one of those things where they're paying their dues now and it's gonna come later. I don't know when, and maybe it won't come at all, but the HJB was very critical of Bobby Lashley, and we were talking about that, and I can understand where he's coming from. I just would like to say that my thoughts on that sometimes is look, you can't have everyone can't be Roman Reigns, all right? And Bobby Lashley is a good competitor. I feel he's good in the ring. He asked me
Well,
to point
Steph.
out a match with Lashley that I would recommend, and I was trying to think about it, and there wasn't really tons that I talked about the ones with Brock Lesnar and stuff like that, but Lashley, I don't have those matches that I can really pull on that I'm like, watch this. I'm telling you, he's good. So that says something. Of course, he hasn't really wrestled that much in the last year. He lost his WrestleMania moment with Bray Wyatt because he got sick, and then after that he was injured and wasn't around, and then kind of comes back around, but he's just this guy in a suit that isn't really wrestling. And now when he's finally back and he seems to be doing, this character and this thing, he's losing to Santos Escobar, and it's frustrating to see. I don't know where they're going with what seems to be a team that has a ton of potential. I don't know. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
I mean, you're right. You hit it all on the head. I'm not. There's nothing else to add to that, Doc.
right. So, and we got a lot to get to tonight. But so let's get to a match that I really enjoyed. KO, one of the best in the biz right now. KO versus Carmelo Hayes. KO comes out with the win. It's now going to be Kevin Owens versus Santos Escobar. Great match. I enjoyed this match. It's fun to see Carmelo up on the roster. I still need to see more from him. I think he's good. I feel like he gets a little bit like maybe too exaggerated in the ring for me.
Like Ricochet.
Similar to Ricochet and even like Dragunov, for some reason. I think Ziggler was that a little bit too sometimes where he was just a little too animated, too like, it was too much. It didn't look genuine. It looks like he's acting it out. And so but it's obviously a super talent. I just feel like I'd like him to look a little bit more genuine moving forward. But KO's going on, and it's going to be KO versus Escobar. And I know you're saying that KO wins this match, Timmy. I'm wondering if they're going to have Escobar win this match. I could see the Street Profits getting involved and costing Escobar the match, but I could also see Waller and Theory getting involved and costing KO the match, and kind of that could develop into something where Waller and Theory are with Logan Paul, helping him, you know, not have to face Kevin Owens, someone that he doesn't want to face.
Hmm. Um, yeah, I mean, theoretically, you can go down. No pun intended. You can go down
Ah,
that.
down under.
You can go down that road. I just don't. I just don't think so. We're just heading into this major PLE season, and if we're talking money, we're talking ratings, we're talking merchandise, right? Like it just doesn't make much sense for Escobar to get the push. Now I told you that I've really liked his character development in the way, yeah, like he's still consistent with the way he's winning, right? It's like cheap, it's bullshit, right? And then he's going major heel, right? He lined himself a little bit with Dom a couple weeks ago and came out with him, which is genius. But I just don't. I don't know. I just don't see it happening. I really don't. I just don't think he has momentum right now. I don't know who the other two goons were that came out and helped him, but um, I just really would like to see him. I think that whole Rey Mysterio thing was supposed to be more of a storyline, and they had to push it because of the injury to Rey, right? Like it just
Right.
felt like it came up short.
Yeah, it felt that's what we thought that it was prematurely done because of the injury to Ray. Now Ray, I think, is fighting tonight on um on the house show at Madison Square Garden. Is that right? Did I hear that correctly? Um, so I know it was Angel Garza, but I forget the name of the other guy. I was trying to look it up real quick, but whatever. So we're gonna have a nice New Year's Revolution coming up with a couple good matches on the card. I can't wait for that. Can't wait for day one live from the HJB Arena. Gonna have a big show then. Timmy, let's get into the top moments from this past year. We've got a list of things, and why don't we start with your crowds of the year? Your top three
Oh.
crowds of the year. You could. So if you'd like me to start with my number three crowd of the year, I can do that. But crowds of the year, we're going to be naming our top three. Would you like me to
Okay.
start?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. My number three crowd of the year, recent pay-per-view Survivor Series War Games. I'm going with the Chicago crowd at Survivor Series War Games. The WWE and particularly their veterans talked about the crowd in Chicago and being in that arena with the wooden ceiling and how the sound just stays in there and it's so loud and it's such a great atmosphere to be in and how much they love that. I'm going to have that be my number three crowd of the year. Chicago Survivor Series War Games.
All right. Mine, my number three crowd is going to be the crowd at WrestleMania in LA.
Oh, they were awesome. And in that arena, now that can be closed in. right? That has the roof over its,
SoFi.
but
Yep.
they were rocking. I love that pick. All right, I'm gonna go to my number two crowd of the year. My number two crowd is going to be a Montreal, Quebec, Canada Elimination Chamber.
Uh,
Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns. That crowd was red hot. What a time. What a PLE. What, like, from the moment we started to the end, it was just, they were hot. They were singing for him, for Kevin Owens, for Edge, for the whole thing. It was just boom, boom, boom. Elimination Chamber. What a crowd. What a moment. My number two crowd of the year, Montreal Elimination Chamber. Seems so long ago, but geez, it was this year.
Tom, that was actually my number one crowd. Um,
Well, I
yeah,
think your number two crowd is probably going to be my number one crowd. So we have I think our top three. Timmy, why don't you go say your number two crowd of the year then, which has to be my number one.
is this the venue down in Puerto Rico?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what a crowd. What a PLE. We're talking Backlash in Puerto Rico. That crowd made that show an incredible PLE, Timmy. It doesn't get much hotter than those two.
Yeah. No, I mean, and then a lot of so you look at these two crowds and they both are attributed to wrestlers that are extremely popular in those cities. And it's not often that the WWE goes outside of the continental United States, right? They usually keep most of these shows pretty locally. And going up to Montreal, which is where Sami Zayn is from, right? Isn't he from up that area? And
Oh
Kevin
yeah,
Owen
that's where he's from, Montreal.
and a lot of these guys, huh, where essentially wrestling is heaven up there, right? It's like Bret Hart, like all the Chris Jericho is from up there and in Canada, right? I think like all these guys are up from up there. Anyway, and they get it creates this love, like this infatuation, right? And then with the match down in San Juan and Puerto Rico, I think it's San Juan. Bad Bunny is from down there, Priest is from down there, and they had a lot of other ties with the LWO, right? It being Hispanic.
Selena
Um,
Vega, she
yeah,
had her moment with the flag where she came out was awesome.
yeah. It just it spoke volumes, and just the crowd connects so much more with the product when they have something that they are fully invested in, as a people. And I think that's what you get out of those two crowds is just like the emotional connection that the crowd has to those wrestlers, and they just they're just amped up to see their guy or their girl, right, go out and perform. And it just creates this almost like just palpable buzz, and it's just like this crowd is just like fever pitch, like ready to go. And it just when you encapsulate that, it gets the results of what these PLEs you know, gave us. And they are our top two venues for a reason.
Yep. All right, Timmy. So I think that leads right into maybe our top three PLEs of the year. You could pick your
Mhm.
top three PLEs from this past year. What are they and why? Would you like to start with your number three PLE of the year? Premium live
Uh,
event?
all right. So my number three PLE, Tom, and you're gonna have to refresh my memory because I do know what matches took place, but I get confused on them. But my number three was the Royal Rumble.
Yo, great pick, Tim. That's actually my number three as well, was the Royal Rumble, and just an incredible PLE. Obviously, the two Rumble matches. You have the Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns match.
Right.
Um, just you had your I think it was the last PLE match for Bray Wyatt, kind of the beginning of LA Knight, the blackout
Hmm.
match where they had the
Hmm.
black lights and stuff like that, which wasn't like the greatest thing. It's kind of cool to see, but uh, you know, different type of match. And I loved the Royal Rumble and everything from it. That PLE was awesome. The crowd was great, and just an incredible time in the WWE and kind of the beginning, I would say, of your coming back almost, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was it. That was when Cody Rhodes comes out and wins. He gets the W for the Royal Rumble and builds his story heading to WrestleMania. So that
Mommy
was
wins the Royal Rumble for the women's and starts her climb to the same thing.
yeah, yeah. And that was the beginning for me, is just coming back, and I always loved the Royal Rumble. It brings a lot of memories from my childhood back. The guys getting tossed over the rope. I think Gunther had like some crazy just run in the middle of that where he's just throwing guy after the ring out of the ring, and then him and Brock Lesnar have a standoff in the middle of the ring. That was kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
So that's my number three, Tom. My number two, I'm gonna go to Money in the Bank.
Ooh, Money in the Bank. Love the Money in the Bank PLE. They would say that is the fifth major PLE of the year. And when you talk about the top four, that's the fifth one. Almost like the Players Championship in golf. It's the Money in the Bank, one of the major PLEs, maybe not in the original four, but a great one. I love the Money in the Bank PLE and a great PLE overall.
Yeah, Money in the Bank was cool. That was when we get our first opportunity to see LA Knight, right? That's the Money in the Bank where we thought, hey, this is gonna be his opportunity to rise to stardom, and they're gonna put the belt on him and all that. And yeah, obviously what happens is the priest ends up winning it, but it was a really cool match. Ricochet, I believe, is it Ricochet and Logan Paul had that spot on the
Oh
outside of the
yeah.
match, yeah, where
Yeah.
they break the table, and it was just like a crazy, it was just a
I think it was a
crazy spot.
Spanish fly, and they almost looked like they stumbled, but then they still went through with it and just, man, made it connect. That was a moment like crazy. And then I think you have the tag match at the end. Is that right?
Yeah, that was with the bloodline with the Usos and with against Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa.
Yep.
That was at the end there. And then I think Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. That
Finn
was
Balor.
I think that was also, I was looking like at other people's lists of like top matches, and that was getting a lot of love for like a top 10 match for the year too as well. So I thought that there was a stretch of really good PLEs yeah, just throughout the entire year, and I felt like that was a really good one.
Yeah. For my number two, I'm gonna go with Backlash. I love that PLE like we were talking about just earlier, and I won't get too much into it, but so many fun matches in that. I think that's one where we called the Lesnar Cena match when Lesnar got busted open. Obviously, the crowd, Bad Bunny coming out, Carlito making his return, and just like the place was going wild, going crazy. You had the rematch at KO. Sami Zayn and the Usos, and just an amazing PLE and just one of my favorites of the year. And maybe it's because it caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it to be, it was kind of a write-off PLE for me. Like, all right, we'll check it out, we'll see what happens, and just turned into something that we were all like, whoa, this was incredible. So that's my number two PLE of the year.
Pretty simple to say what our number one is then.
I mean, is it
It's
WrestleMania,
hard.
Timmy?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, you
yeah.
can't deny it. I mean, you had a couple five-star matches. You got both nights. You got the triple threat, and we'll be getting into all that stuff later. But just WrestleMania, showcase of the Immortals, the grandest stage of them all. It really lived up to the whole thing with Cody and Roman, and
Yeah.
just everything about that PLE was as big time as it gets.
Yeah.
And for me, that was number one clear choice.
Yeah, and both nights delivered. It wasn't just the one. It was good that yeah, they have these different highlights of each night, and I would say that there's just like they were so good. WrestleMania was so good. Like you don't specifically remember which night each match was on. Like, but I mean that triple threat match with Gunther and um yeah, the entrances are always just exciting and fun and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah. And I
let's
feel like we'll be getting into some of those matches later on in the show. All right, Timmy, we've done Crowd of the Year, we've done PLE of the Year. Now let's get to maybe the top three most underrated wrestlers of the year. Let's go with the most underrated wrestlers of the year. And I would say, are we looking at this? Maybe I'll ask this question to you. Are you looking at this as underrated maybe in the eyes of the WWE? Or are we looking at it as underrated in the eyes of the WWE universe?
um I would say probably in the eyes of the fan.
In the eyes of the fan. Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Well,
because
I'm
the
going to start with my number three then. In the
okay.
eyes of the fan, number three, most underrated wrestler. I'm going to go with Dirty Dom. Dirty
Mm.
Dom Mysterio. I think he's underrated. Obviously has a lot of heat on him, and the guy's on every show. He's on Raw. He's on NXT. He's on SmackDown. He just constantly delivers. Puts him in a lot of big time spots. Underrated wrestler via the fan, and part of that's because of his character and people just don't like him, you know. And he's got that look, right? Doesn't he have a punchable kind of face?
He does have that face that you just want to punch, and that he does a hell of a job of selling yeah, that whole character, and there's just so much momentum. I can't believe he still has this much heat after all this time. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Uh, my number three, underrated, Tom, is someone that we've really showcased a lot on the Schmidt or
Oh,
on the on Jabroni Drive
I
here.
think I know where you're headed, Timmy.
And I'm going hashtag save
Dave
Ivor.
Ivar, Todd the Builder, none other, Mr.
uh,
Ivar, the greatest gimmick in all of WWE. Timmy, you go ahead. This is your pick.
oh,
That was my number one choice. That was my
oh,
number
really?
one pick was
Wow.
Ivar. Yes.
So Ivar is he's just an impressive individual. Like the guy is he comes out every time and he sells as hard as he possibly can. And he lays it in, as you like to say, Tom, does these high risk maneuvers at the he's gotta be 350 pounds. And that's a lot of weight, Tom, coming off the top rope for all those high risk maneuvers that he does. Yeah, we've been asking for a new gimmick for Mr. Ivar. You know, maybe change him over to just like Eric, the railroad worker, or something like that, and just let him just be normal and get
His
rid
real
of the
name's Todd, you know,
Todd, yeah,
Todd the Builder,
Todd the
Todd the
Builder, as we were
Todd
saying.
Farmer Todd, I think was one, you know. Shout out
Um,
to the young HJB, Todd the President.
yeah. So yeah, he's my number three guy. I love seeing him come out. He had actually a decent match with Tozawa the other day. That was pretty fun. But the more he gets opportunities to work solo, I mean, the better he gets. So let's keep rolling him out, and let's keep get that hashtag going. Save Ivar into 2024.
All right. My number two most underrated wrestler of the year. And I think part of this is because he hasn't been around a lot and we don't talk about him. He hasn't been around a lot recently, but I just feel like this guy is just such an incredible worker that doesn't get enough credit. And I know he's done a lot and been a lot in the business. I just feel like particularly this last year, he's overshadowed, overlooked, and is someone that is one of the best in the biz. And I'm going to go with Sheamus, the Celtic Warrior. I feel like an incredible worker. He was in some amazing matches this year. I mean, this dude is a brawler, you know, one of the brawling brutes. I kind of liked where his kind of street brawler character was going. The brawling brutes, I'm not so much in love with, but Sheamus, is one of the best wrestlers in the world and has been for a long time. And for whatever reason, I don't think gets the credit throughout the universe and the world of professional wrestling that he deserves. I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer. He's done it all except for win that Intercontinental title. And I love him. I love Sheamus and I love his matches, you know. And Timmy, he's got that red hair that I think is so cool and just the best, you know? And who could
Yeah,
argue with that?
he's certainly one of my favorite gingers out there. Has no soul, the whole deal. Um, Tom, great pick. You're right. He hasn't been around in a while. It'd be cool to bring him back and see him take out Mr. Gunther and win his Intercontinental title. That'd be a cool angle. Um, Tom, my number two most underrated wrestler of this year is none other than The Miz.
Oh, great choice. Great
Yeah.
choice. I love that.
Yeah. So The Miz, again, this is a guy that I've never seen wrestle. Okay. The last time I saw The Miz was he was on The Challenge, I think, on MTV's The Challenge, because he used to be on The Real World. And I just started watching wrestling this year, and I knew he was a WWE superstar. I just never knew that he was as decorated of a champion. Like, he's naming
Nine-time
all his,
Intercontinental Champion, two-time. Yeah,
yeah,
he's
all his accolades, and to hear you talk about him, and then finally for me to see him in action after all this time. I know he was put on the shelf a little bit and had to reinvent himself, and it's just really impressive to see him come out and work with some of the best talent that the WWE has in Gunther and just put on a show, man. And he is an incredible performer. He's really mastered his craft. It's cool to see him night in and night out do anything and everything that they ask him to do. So Miz is my number two guy.
and the way he elevates wrestlers like an LA Knight, you know, okay, we need LA Knight. He's on the rise. Who can we put him against that's gonna make him look good and keep that rise going? The Miz. He's
Yep.
good on the mic,
Mm-hmm.
good in the ring, safe wrestler. And but then we've seen in these last couple matches with Gunther, like we always say, lays it in.
Yep.
And he was battling with the big boys there. So, dude, great pick in the Miz. Now, I had Dirty Dom, Sheamus, and Ivar was my number one. You had Ivar's your number three, the Miz your second. Timmy, who was your number one most underrated wrestler of the year?
My number one underrated and I think, appreciated is going to be none other than Chad Gable.
Love that pick.
And Chad is, he for a while was just a guy, really. And and Tom, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember seeing, the plethora of maneuvers during his matches. Maybe he's just added them, or maybe we just weren't paying attention to him. But I mean, when he had the opportunity to showcase himself against Gunther, and maybe he's the common denominator again, because most of the people that we keep on mentioning, have their opportunities to wrestle with Gunther, but uh, he just really impressed the hell out of me. The way he's carrying his stable too, right, is really the Alpha Academy is really cool. What he's done with what's her face? What's the girl in there?
Dupree.
Maxine Dupree and Otis. There's a little bit of comedy
Now
involved in that.
Tozawa.
Yeah, he just really is a relevant mainstay on that roster, and he delivers performance after performance when he needs to deliver a really good one. He puts it out there, and then they put him in. They make him job to other guys, which is frustrating to see because he is so talented. Um, but it's just Gable is one of my guys. He's I think one of the most underrated guys in the business.
Absolutely. Great pick, Timmy. And I think we have a great list there of underrated wrestlers. And if you haven't gotten a chance to check these guys out in the WWE, please go do so. Look at some of their matches. And we're talking The Miz, Chad Gable, Dirty Dom, Sheamus, and Ivar. All guys that are kind of a lot of these guys that we named, particularly like Miz, Gable, Dom, Ivar are like workhorses that have been, they're house show guys. They don't get a ton of opportunity in the main event light. And when they get a chance to showcase, man, they put on a show and they do it at every angle, on the mic, in the ring, everywhere. So look out for these wrestlers, hopefully in the future, finding something to really sink their teeth in and develop into these main event stars. We'll see. The toughest one, obviously, is hashtag free Ivar. That
That's not gonna.
Viking Raider, the
he's,
character, they
he's
did you no favors, my friend. Todd, they screwed you, Todd.
we gotta get Todd on the show at some point.
Yeah, we should just DM the hell out of Todd until we can get him on the show and be like, "Come on, man. We know he's got to it's got to be one of those stories that like 10 years from now, he'll be talking about how he just hated looking in the mirror and putting on that
Yeah,
Viking like makeup and having to do the whole thing and just how embarrassing it was and all this other crap. You know what I mean? Like
we should change our whole set. We should start like some Viking stuff up.
yeah, get the helmets with the horns sticking out of it, and the
Uh,
"Roo,
yep, yep.
roo." On the show we have Todd the Viking. All right, let's move on now, Timmy. We're going to our top three pops of the year. Now, if you're listening to the show, we're addicted to the pops. We love the pops. It's all about the pops. Gotta have my pops.
Mm.
Timmy, we're gonna name our top three pops of the year. And would you like to start or would you like me to start?
You could start.
All right. My number three pop of the year. We've talked about this show already a couple times, and I'm going and I'm referencing Backlash. Puerto Rico, the entrance of one Bad Bunny.
Mm.
That entrance is something I've probably watched a couple hundred times. And that
Yeah.
song, Chambaya, hola, hola. We love that song. I mean, I even like that song because of that moment and just that crowd going on with them and singing the whole thing and just going insane. Ah, what a moment. I'm going top three pops of the year. Bad Bunny entrance at WWE Backlash.
Tom, I'm not going to repeat any of the ones that you say, just for the sake of making this list a little bit more interesting.
Okay.
Um, because I would have Bad Bunny on my top list too. But I'm gonna go with as my number three, and again, we referenced this already on the show. Sami Zayn in Montreal, them singing his song. I think he changed his music that day just for
Yeah.
Montreal, and it was epically loud in that venue. It was just awesome. Montreal is just really incredible. Anyway, if you ever watch a Canadians game, they're chanting, the whole time. It's just a really cool venue. And Sami Zayn, my number three, pop of the year.
Timmy, and speaking of, and here's a little throwback. If you haven't got a chance to watch it, a show that all the old timers from the Attitude Era will talk about fondly, Bret Hart, Stone Cold. It was the Canadian Stampede from Montreal or yeah, I think it was from Montreal, 1997. Go check it out. Incredible. If you want to talk about a hot crowd, that's one of the all-time hot crowds that they talk about. Might not have been in Montreal because Survivor Series was in Montreal that year, but Canadian Stampede, it was an In Your House from 1997. Go check it out. Great show, and all the old-time Attitude Era guys, you'll love it. All right. Top three pops of the year, Timmy. And I feel like we're probably going to be the same on these top two. My number two is The Rock's return. The surprise return of The Rock on SmackDown with Pat McAfee in
Damn it.
Colorado. Place goes crazy. Bananas. If you smell what I'm cooking. Incredible
Yeah.
moment. He comes out and just like The Rock does, has the crowd in the palm of his hand, puts on a show, electrifies the audience. You get chills watching it. That's what you live for as a wrestling fan, to see those types of moments. And
Yeah.
Timmy, I want you to talk about that, and then you can give us your no. I'm assuming that's your number two.
Uh, yeah. I mean, that was up there for me. I have it written down there as one of my top two moments slash pops. Um, it was probably the crazy one of the crazier ones because look, the HJB forever was calling for The Rock to come back. Like he kept on. It was like, he's got to come back this week. He's got to come back this week, and um, yeah, The Rock was doing the Pat McAfee show, and from what I'm hearing recently, I saw on the Chris Van Vliet show that was more of a kind of just, hey, let's just take a ride up and kind of barrage SmackDown and see what's what. And that was kind of like a shot in the dark from Pat McAfee, like, hey, I'm heading up. You want to go? And they both went and made that quite the appearance on SmackDown. So that was cool. It was cool to see him again. And it's another callback to my childhood from watching The Rock growing up in like high school and stuff like that. And yeah, he's always good for a great pop.
Yeah. And it was just an awesome moment. And in that Van Vliet uh interview, they're talking about how I guess he was interviewing one of the backstage interviewers. I forget her name right now, but they were talking about what was it like to work like and have that. Well, we didn't know it was going to happen until about a half hour before the show, and it was just kind of his thing. And he was saying how Pat McAfee just has this way of people just wanting to be his best friend, and he seems like a cool guy. I'd like to hang out with him, and obviously he has that charm to be able to charm The Rock into coming back to SmackDown. Let's go have some fun. We're in the area, and The Rock came and electrified the crowd. All right, Timmy, number one pop of the year. Why don't you go ahead? What would you say was the number one pop of the year?
I mean, it's the easiest one.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, all right, there's one other.
The return of our truth. What
That was a huge one. There's one that I want to bring up that was a quite the pop. And it honestly led to one of the most sought out answers in all of WWE. And that's when
Brock Lesnar
Tom
turn.
comes back out of nowhere. His music hits, and he's going to be Cody Rhodes' partner. Do you remember that?
Oh,
That
dude,
pop when he
that
comes out,
pop was huge. Yes.
and everyone was jumping. They were going crazy, like what? Like what's going on right now? And I think it was the first time we'd seen Brock Lesnar since he lost to Roman Reigns. He lost, right?
No, this was the night after WrestleMania. So he had just defeated Omos, but
Oh yeah,
Lesnar
that's right. That's
had
right.
announced when he lost. What you're saying is he had lost to Roman Reigns at SummerSlam in the Last Man Standing match, that he would not be challenging for the title against Roman Reigns again if he lost that match. And he did. And they put the stipulation out that the person had to have wrestled at WrestleMania over the weekend, and if they decide to be your partner, they will never get a match with Roman Reigns as long as he's the champion. And lo and behold,
Yeah,
that doesn't affect Brock. And here in that place, I got out of my seat for that one.
yeah, that
Loved
was
loved Brock, and he just immediately amps it up.
yeah, that
That
was a
was an
good one.
incredible pop.
But
Another one
yeah,
I was
obviously,
thinking of, Tim,
go.
too, before we get to it, is when Jimmy Uso kicked Roman Reigns and was the first to kind of turn. Now, this is something that maybe we'll do something we'll just shoot from the hip a little bit later. But Jimmy Uso, when he turns and kicks Roman Reigns at I want to say it was Clash of Champions, and he kicks Roman Reigns and finally says enough of this and we're done with this and you should have done this a while ago. He hits him and then boom, super kick right to the face, the pop, the crowd. When Jay then decides that he's out of the bloodline, that was a huge pop in his super kick on Raymond. And then when Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, who were fighting and fighting and fighting, decide to join forces and become friends again, that was another huge pop there.
Yeah, yep, yeah. And then finally, Tom, the number one pop of the year, which just happened few weeks ago, a few weeks back, which was actually probably about a month ago now, was CM Punk coming back, and that was. clearly the most surprising of all the returns in recent memory. It'll be talked about forever. It's something that people said that would never happen again. And sure enough, in comes CM Punk at the end of, was that Elimination Chamber
Survivor
or
Series
Survivor
War Games.
Series? Yeah.
And
We're,
in Chicago, in front of his hometown. Totally great job. We gave kudos to the WWE and their organization after that and keeping that under wraps and the way they swerve people and this and that on and just a total surprise of it, which is what you need to do and what WWE has fumbled on in the past. What a moment. Definitely the biggest pop of the year and is leading to a lot of fun moving forward. And we're going to see where that all plays out. So, our top three, I think we had Bad Bunny, our top one, Sami Zayn in Montreal, Bad Bunny, The Rock, CM Punk. A lot of shout outs there. Ton of fun pops from this year. Another one would be Randy Orton's return there, too, that we didn't mention obviously overshadowed by Punks, but that was also a very cool moment, cool pop from that. All right, Timmy. Now I was saying maybe we shoot at the hip here a little bit, and I'm gonna do one. I'll name one. I'm gonna say biggest mistake of the year by WWE,
hmm.
and if you can come up with one as I'm talking about this, or if you just want to go with what I'm saying, my biggest mistake, one of the biggest fumbles of the year was I feel like the Jimmy Uso turn on Jay, I feel like it didn't make sense. I didn't like that moment. I feel like Jimmy's kind of been lost since that's happened, and they've been sticking with this bloodline storyline, but it just is like, what's going on? It's kind of treading over the same stuff they've done before, except Jimmy's kind of this zanier character now that you never know what he'll do, I guess. But I just felt like it didn't make sense with the story. Did it happen because Bray Wyatt was sick? I don't know. Did it happen? Was it supposed to be someone else that they were bringing in there? Who knows? But I just think that was a fumble and a bad move by the WWE. That's my biggest eh, moment of WWE this year.
Um, I'm just trying to go through my head here, and like that's the number one thing that I probably would change a little bit is just the way they handled the whole bloodline thing. The Cody Rhodes finishing the story thing. I mean, I would have loved to seen Cody win at WrestleMania, but I just don't think it's his time yet, right? So, um, yeah, I think we're going to see the culmination of that come into play into the WrestleMania 40. But maybe the only other thing that I could really say was kind of a mishap is what they're doing right now still with Priest and the whole money in the bank thing. Like we had I thought we had some pretty good ideas for how that whole should play out. And with the Judgment Day and everything else, and it just seems like it's dragging on a little bit too long for my liking. But I mean, we'll see where it ends, and then we'll be critical of how it plays out, probably. But I think that's really the only thing that I would really say is an issue for me.
And then, you know what? I'm going to name some shout outs real quick with this too. The draft as a whole is kind of like what are we doing with that? I feel like that's a big mistake and hopefully something that can be cool if done with these characters that are playing genuine GMs, like trying to play these GM characters correctly. You use the draft and trading and loaning and different types of stuff. Like just do it like, hey, someone doesn't just show up on SmackDown, they were traded there for the night or they were loaned out for the night and then come back for money compensation or whatever it is. And that's how you should do that. Not explaining the story why Brock Lesnar actually attacked Cody Rhodes is something that always bothered me. I know we talked about it a lot on the show. I feel like that's something that they should have done, like a reason why he did it, whether he was paid or he was working for someone or whatever. Have him cut a promo on exactly why he did it and have a legitimate story for that. So those are a couple that cross my mind as we're talking about it as kind of the eh moments of the last year for
And
WWE.
then, let me add one more. Is like why would Paul Orndorff why would he turn on Hulk Hogan too? Like why?
Or Tatanka on Lex Luger, really,
That's just
like,
brutal. Like these are
well,
the answers that we're gonna get on
Tim, I know why Tatanka
Jabroni.
did it because everybody's got a price. All right, Timmy, we're getting down to the nitty gritty, the big, the big top threes of the year, and this is what we're gonna do right now. Number three, top three match of the year. Who who's got your top three matches of the year? Do you want to start, or
Hmm.
would you like me to start with my number three?
You can start.
All right. Top three matches of the year. My number three is going to be the tag team match at WrestleMania. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn versus the Usos. Great match. A lot of stuff going on in the match. Huge storyline. And you finally get these two guys that have been best friends for years on the indie scene, developmental, coming up from NXT into the WWE. They main event and win at WrestleMania on the grandest stage of them all as best friends. I mean, what a moment, what a match. And my number three match of the year, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn versus the Usos.
Dude, I'm having a hard time um with this. I have five matches selected. Can I give you all five, Tom?
Absolutely. Give me all
Uh,
five.
all right. So my fifth best match of the year was Bad Bunny and Priest. I thought that was just I've never seen a celebrity wrestle before in my life, and I couldn't believe what I witnessed in that match with that dude. I think he went like 25 minutes. I mean, there were so many different spots in that just match where you're just like, this guy is not going to get up. Like, there's no shot. Even leading up to that match, he took a lot of falls, a lot of spots like through the table and announcer table, and like the dude Priest was not easy on him either. It's like holy shit. But that match was like one of the first ones I remember seeing. I was like, wow, dude, that was insane. Build up to it, obviously the entrance. We already talked about the crowd too as well.
Mhm.
So that's my number five. Um, I'll just do my number four real quick too as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a number four in then too after this.
All right. My number four match is Gunther and Chad Gable on Raw. That
Love that
match
match.
was ridiculous. And I think I was texting you guys during that match, like, I cannot believe that this match is on Raw right now. It was just unbelievable from like just the technical side of it. Like Gable always puts on a good match. Gunther, like, I mean, how many good things do we have to say about him? I mean, every time he gets in the ring, he delivers. And for Gunther's or for Gable's size to be able to do the things that he does in the ring against a man the size of Gunther is just you can't really even describe it. Um, so yeah, that match too is in my top five.
All right. And I'll say my number four will be Charlotte versus Mommy at WrestleMania Night One. Incredible match. Arguably could have been the final match of the night. And I know they were pulling for that and this and that, whatever. Besides that point, the match delivered. Great match. Charlotte versus Mommy, one of the best, maybe the best women's match I've ever seen. And just a great match overall. I'm not saying that in a knock, but like unbelievable. Two of the best to ever do it as far as women's wrestling goes, and just an incredible match, incredible story. The handing over of the torch to mommy, it was awesome. Two
And
superstars at the peaks of their career, battling it out at WrestleMania. I loved it. One of my favorite matches of the year.
and that was my number three match there, Tom.
Oh, was it?
Charlotte.
How about
Yeah.
that?
And it's because of the things that you said, but it's also because in the women's division, there was always Charlotte. She is the upper class of that division. And finally, we get somebody that can match her athleticism, her power, and just the look.
And the character,
And
yeah, the whole deal, the whole total package.
there was a bunch of different spots in that match where you're just like watching it. You're like, dude, I cannot believe that these are two women going at it. And it's, dude, it had me on the edge of my seat. I'm like, damn, like these girls are getting it in, man. And yeah, that was my number three.
I love it.
My number two match, and this was one of my favorite ones because it is in the true underdog, situation here was Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber. Just because it had, again, these matches that I'm highlighting are ones that just the crowd is so into it. They feed off the crowd. Um, and for this one, it's as true as it can get with the Rocky story, the guy that turns on his boss, right? Or
Yeah.
he's fighting against the man, right? The machine, and he almost pulls it out. And there were so many close pinfalls there that you really thought like, holy shit, dude, he actually might win the title here.
And the
And
crowd and everything. Oh,
yeah, yeah, and the way it finished was great. Like as much as close as you could possibly get, to giving that home crowd what they wanted. You snatch it right from them at the very last second, and it just spelled for such a great match. And Sami Zayn, put him on the map as really a main eventer. You know, and he's built his career since then.
all right. So my number two is going to be Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, WrestleMania Night 2. The entrances alone, I don't know in my life have I seen WWE do the whole thing. It was as big time as I've ever seen in the WWE. The I'm saying as far as the production level and how they brought it out. I mean, they just went to that next level, and each year they get better and better, and the stage gets grander, and it's just an incredible show, a spectacle. And they come out, and it's like, wow, like look at this about to happen right now. This match, and the match delivered these two guys, a great build, a great pace, a great story. The finish, is it was before the run-ins and the interference with Romans was starting to get annoying, and it's just like what a PLE, and to have Roman hang on was even I liked that. I thought that was the right call, and I just loved that match and the way to end that WrestleMania, one of the best WrestleManias I've ever seen. And I love that match. My number two match of the year, Roman versus Cody, WrestleMania Night 2.
Love that match too. And I'm assuming that we probably have the same number one
I
match
think
of the
we
year.
do. I think we do.
It is the trio of some of our favorite wrestlers, the guys that lay it in, Tom, and that's
The Leyden Classic.
yeah, that is Sheamus, Gunther, and Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania night two, or was that one?
That was night 2 because I think Bianca Belair and Asuka had to follow that. Good luck. Good luck
Yeah.
following that match. We just went back and rewatched that match, and I think they just made it available on YouTube. If you haven't watched that match, please do yourself a favor, especially if you're a casual fan. Check that match out. It is 5 star, but not just by Schmidt and Lavelle. Dave Meltzer also rated that a 5 star, start to finish. I mean, people want to tell you wrestling's fake. Go check out that match. All right.
Wait, it's not fake?
But just an incredible match, and so many matches this year were so amazing and so great. I mean, the trio of matches with Brock and Cody, I thought was incredible. Like you mentioned, Sami Zayn and Roman at Elimination Chamber, and even the War Games match this past year was a lot of fun. And the street fight with the Judgment Day, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn in Pittsburgh, I thought was a fun match. Ricochet and Logan Paul. I mean, there were so many matches this year that were so great, and Drew and Seth this past year. I
Miz
just
and
thought
Gunther.
Miz and Gunther. So a lot of great stuff that our tops, were the top of the list, but the unanimous choice by Schmidt and Lavelle, triple threat match. Now, Timmy, I will say something. Um, I just threw his name out there, but I didn't see in those top three matches of the year. I didn't see any Seth Rollins. Kind
Oh
of
yeah.
interesting.
Oh, well, no, I did mention his name earlier. I said, Seth and Shinsuke. They had one of the best matches of the year.
All right, so we did the top matches of the year. Let's get to your top moment of the year. A lot of great moments. Maybe we throw out a couple moments from this past year. The Rock's return, I feel like, was a great moment. Timmy, I don't want to steal your moment of the year. If you'd like to, throw out some uh mention some you know, just give a shout out to a couple moments from the year. A ton of great moments from this past year before you get into your top. Go ahead, because I don't want to throw out some ones that maybe I don't want to name your top moment.
No, no, you can go. Go ahead and get
Well,
going on the.
the Rock's return, Punk's return. You
Yeah.
got Randy Orton coming out. Obviously, a lot of great matches. Chad Gable getting his flowers, Miz getting his flowers. L.A. Knight, coming up. A lot of huge moments when the Rock returned and him and Cena having their face to face in the back. I thought that was incredible. You have all the things at WrestleMania when they do these shows and you see them working with the kids in that make a wish and all that other stuff. There's so much great stuff. The handshake between Cody and Brock at the end of their match and kind of the handing over of the torch there, the passing of the torch there. Sami Zayn's entrance at Elimination Chamber, a ton of amazing moments. Timmy, my moment of the year. Would you like me to go first, or would you like to?
Yeah, you can go.
My moment of the year. It's been almost a full calendar year. Royal Rumble last year. Sami Zayn finally turns on Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble and hits him. The chair shot heard round the world. One of the greatest moments as a fan in my life of WWE. Incredible, incredible story, the build, everything. And similar to that, when we're talking about maybe what's going on in don't take this the wrong way, but like Damian Priest, how it's slow. You know what I mean? It's been a slow build. If we're getting to maybe where we kind of have laid out, it's been slow, and they're making you wait and wait and wait and building that to finally this crescendo. That was like a masterclass on how it's done. And Sami Zayn was so lovable and was so over, and everyone loved him. And the week before was the Raw 30 in Philadelphia where they were going crazy and they had the trial for Sami Zayn and all this other stuff. And then here's the moment, here's the chair, take out Kevin Owens. He's handcuffed to the ropes. Do it, pull the trigger, pull the trigger. Boom. Pulls the trigger, but hits the tribal chief. And the pop was next level, right up there with the top pops of the year. Man, what a moment. I've watched that match probably 5 or 6 times, the whole match, and it's just an incredible moment in WWE history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, dude. I mean, I don't know. I guess that could be probably the moment of the year. I mean, there's so many different ones. Yeah, we talked about the Rock. The Rock moment was just like insane. I will do. I'm gonna go on the other side of this, Tom, a little bit, and I would say, a moment that's not talked about, and it's not something that people want to discuss, but um, you know, Bray Wyatt's passing away was just a sad moment in the calendar year. There was so much momentum built up with him and him coming back, and his character development, and the Fiend, and the Uncle Howdy stuff, and it seemed like there was a lot of momentum like building into what would have been a triumphant return for Bray Wyatt into the WWE. Ends up being one of the sadder moments of the year, and obviously in WWE history now with him passing away. Um, yeah, and what Cody Rhodes has done, being involved with the family and stuff like that. I think he got involved with the family, and um, yeah, it's a shame to lose a WWE superstar or anyone at that age. But one of the sadder moments I would say of the WWE calendar year.
Yeah, and something definitely to remember. Bray Wyatt, R.I.P. Bray Wyatt, and also around the same time, Terry Funk passed away, another legend in the WWE and professional wrestling world. So, I don't have a list here of maybe all the wrestlers this past year that we did lose, that passed away, but those are the two that stand out to me, and obviously Bray Wyatt being at the top of the list. Like you said, so young and
One of
so.
the Briscoe brothers, is that
Oh yeah, from they were wrestling with AEW, Ring of Honor, the Briscoe brothers. Yeah, absolutely, in a car accident, I believe. Man, that was sad too. But
also Iron Sheik?
Iron Sheik passed away. I was trying to think, like, how long ago did Razor pass? Was that over a year, or I don't know. It all
Might
blends
have been over
together.
here. Yeah.
But, Iron Sheik, yeah, I mean, we should have probably come up with a list of that. But to all the former entertainers and wrestlers that passed this last year, shout out to them, and RIP, rest in peace, and God bless you and your families, and live on forever in the universe of the WWE. So,
Amen.
Timmy, we've covered it all. We've said our top three pops, our matches of the year. Superstar of the year is the next one. I kind of didn't mean to read that. Crowd of the year, moment of the year, PLE of the year, underrated wrestlers. Now it's time to name the superstar of the year. Your top three, and you can even go five if you'd like, superstars of the year. Timmy, I'm going to start, and I got my five wrapped up. All right. It's theory, 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 and theory.
All good
Just kidding.
choices. All good
Just kidding.
choices.
I'm going to start with my number. We'll do five on this. I'm going to say my number five wrestler of the year, superstar of the year is going to be Mr. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes for me is the number five wrestler of the year. An entertaining guy, obviously main evented WrestleMania, won the Royal Rumble, feud with Brock Lesnar. Um, Kind of lost recently. Shinsuke stuff's going on now. He had his feud with the Judgment Day and Survivor Series. He called in Randy Orton. He's not the hottest guy, but still one of the hottest in the biz right now. Cody Rhodes, my number five professional wrestler of the year. Incredible. And hopefully his story starts to really unfold leading into the road to WrestleMania.
Tom, I'm going to go with the up and coming megastar as my number five, Mr. L.A. Knight. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Uh,
wearing I'm wearing the hoodie right now, Mr. LA Knight. Yeah.
there he is. Obviously on a meteoric rise. Still has yet to secure any hardware yet, but hey, um, he's on his way. It's great to see him sustain himself. As a main guy on the SmackDown roster.
Yeah. I love it. Great pick. Man, this is tough. Golly, this is so tough. Ah, I'm gonna it's tough because it's like what's going on now sways you so much. Like when you really try to think about the entire year, who's been the superstar of the year, when you think about the entire year, and that's why I'm gonna have to go with this guy right now, and I'm gonna go someone that we've talked about multiple times. Number four, go with Mr. Sami Zayn. I feel like Sami
Ooh.
Zayn kind of underrated and has done a lot this year. When my moment of the year, I think about the turn on Roman Reigns. That was my number one moment of the year. And without Sami Zayn, that doesn't happen. And then one of my top matches of the year was a WrestleMania match where they won the titles. They were obviously tag team champs for a long time. He was in a lot of storylines, a little bit falling off now as the last couple months have gone on, but for the entire year, Sami Zayn right at the top of my list. Great year for Sami Zayn and just a superstar. I love him and God bless him. Sami Zayn, number four.
All right, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with my number four. It's gonna be Jey Uso.
That was one I was thinking about. I was vibing to that. Jey Uso was one I was thinking about for my. I didn't know. God, I wish I could put everyone at like number four. You know what I mean? My number four. Let's
Yeah.
actually put Cody, Sammy, Jay, all three of them
Yep.
tied for number four.
Yep.
All right, Timmy. Let me move on to my number three superstar of the year. My number three superstar of the year has had an incredible year, an incredible run, and now I'm looking at this, Timmy. Should I give it as far as people that I like my love for these people, or this is me kind of just thinking about
Tom, it's
this?
your list, Tom. You
Okay,
can,
well,
you
I'm
can
just trying to explain it. I'm not saying that this guy is above these other people that I've named in my thing, but I'm just saying his year, you can't deny it. He's had a great year, a great run. My number three guy is Mr. Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, incredible year. Obviously, the heavyweight champion. He's had an incredible run. A lot of recently, a lot of good matches. Coming in with, Drew McIntyre's, who is not in my top five. Probably should be, but he's not. Uh, that's one I had a tough time putting out. But I'm just thinking of the whole year and the story and everything like that. Whatever. Seth Rollins, my number three, superstar of the year.
All right, so I got my number three is Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is just one of these guys that just where would the WWE? I'm not saying they wouldn't be anywhere without him, but God, he makes the roster and everything else so much better with his addition. I mean, he's been involved in so many different storylines. And what a get for the WWE for him to come across from AEW, and he's been a blessing since his arrival. Um, and he's going to be a top three star for a long, long time if he continues to do what he's doing.
Amen. Love Cody Rhodes. Obviously, he's on my list. My number two superstar of the year. A little bit of a curveball here, Timmy, but she deserves it. Mommy,
Oh,
Rhea Ripley, number two superstar of the year. She has won the Royal Rumble, won the belt at WrestleMania, is constantly in the either starting the show or the final end of the show with Monday Night Raw. She's the leader of the faction that holds a good amount of titles right now. She's on Raw, she's on NXT, she's on SmackDown, she's everywhere over the social media. The biggest star in women's wrestling today, the champion. She does it all. Mommy's always on top. Rhea Ripley, my number two superstar of the year.
Tom, I gotta add. Um, Actually, I'm not going to add to that because I mean you already explained it pretty well. But my number two superstar of the year is going to be Gunther. Gunther is just the creme de la creme right now. He's the number. I mean, he's a top two guy. He would be number one if there wasn't this guy already at the top. But ew, excuse me.
Bless
Um,
you.
every
Gesundheit, as Gunther
uh,
would say.
every match that he puts out has just been spectacular. He doesn't miss a night, and he's gotten so much better on the mic. He's added that to his repertoire too as well. Um, and he would be my number one wrestler if my number one wasn't at the top here, Tom. So
Yeah. Well,
I'll let you.
Timmy, I'm gonna have to second go on your say my number one superstar of the year was none other than who you just mentioned, Mr. Gunther. Like you said, I don't know as there's much more I could say. The creme de la creme, the top, the guy, the longest reigning intercontinental champion of all time, five-star matches, after 5-star matches. Everyone that wrestles with Gunther, their star rises. They become better in our eyes. Their matches are just incredible. His story is incredible. Gunther does not miss. He's the man. He's what must see matches every time.
Yep.
Gunther. He's the guy right now. I think he's had the best year and he's done it consistently. He will take some time off, but not too much. He comes back. He's at major PLEs. He wrestles. He defends on Raw. He defends, you know, regularly, and his matches are always hard hitting and great fun and great to watch. And his character's just top notch. My number one,
Yeah.
Gunther.
And I don't want to put this guy, I didn't want to put this guy up there, but I was wrestling with it, no pun intended. And I mean, the guy hasn't been pinned clean, in a long, 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 long time. He's held the belt forever. He's on the verge of breaking Hulk Hogan's record. It's Roman Reigns. He's at the top of the food chain. He is, he's the hand that feeds. And the bloodline storyline continues to dominate the WWE. They reinvented it several times. He's the main catalyst for that. And it's hard to take him off the top, without him losing. So as long as he's holding the belt and he's still on the island of relevancy, I think he's going to hold down that number one spot. So Roman Reigns, number one.
Roman Reigns, you can't deny it. He's they all the rest are the twos and he's the one. You know what I mean? So we both got Cody Rhodes on the list. Where did you have Seth Rollins on your list?
I did not.
Drew McIntyre is someone I wanted to. He was right there. KO is another one that's right there for the top of the list for me. But with Sami Zayn's story in the bloodline and how he developed that, I had to have Sami Zayn up there for me.
Rollins, Rollins probably would have been in my top five. Probably bump out LA Knight just because he's provided that cachet, that relevancy to the world heavyweight title. And he holds, but it's hard to deny LA Knight's meteoric rise.
Right.
And how popular he is.
Amen.
He's
Both great lists, and you know what? I feel like we really covered all the wrestlers in there that could be. So, we both gave major credit. I just had Roman off of it because of his absence,
Yeah,
really.
of course.
But, obviously an incredible year, main eventing WrestleMania yet again, main eventing the Royal Rumble, every PLE SummerSlam main event. Roman's the man. Can't deny him. All right, Timmy, that's gonna wrap up the last episode of Jabroni Drive for this year. A great year, a lot of fun. We've been bringing to you wrestling content every week, talking about everything WWE and professional wrestling. If you're not already doing it, please give us that like, share, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. Available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Give us a follow, give us a shout out. Don't forget, big show, January 27th at Graham's Pub, the Royal Rumble at Jabroni Drive at Graham's Pub. Timmy, anything you want to say to all the Schmidt Lavellites out there before we sign off?
You got a tagline or something right now? What am I supposed to say?
When you listen to Jabroni Drive, you're a jabroni
Brody.
for life. That's right. New episodes every week. Thank you for listening. Until next year, my name's Tom Lavelle for Timothy Schmidt. Have a great end of your year. Day one, live from the HJB Arena. We will be there watching. Enjoy the show. Enjoy your new year. God bless you. And God bless America. Until next year. You see what I did there, Tim?
Yeah, I
Until
did.
next year. Peace out. I don't know. What can I say? A lot of stuff going on there. Match of the year, triple threat, superstars of the year, Gunther, Roman,